Hare Krishna. Haribol. This one works. That's better? Hare Krishna. Okay, I need someone to, you know what to do. Just hit the space bar when I give you the signal, okay? Just the space bar. Hare Krishna. Now, this is a good sign that no one's here, because this is an issue that arose in the 80s and 90s and somewhat in the 2000s. Now it's the 2012 of the editing of Srila Prabhupada's books. Darkness of ignorance, my spiritual man. Knowledge, I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, just to introduce the issue, in 1983, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, the publishing arm of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, came out with a revised edition of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. The book was revised by His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami under the instructions of the Governing Body Commission. And after that book was published, in some quarters of the movement, at that time most of the movement consisted of direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, there was some disturbance because they thought, how did you change the book so much after Prabhupada left the planet? And so over the years, this has continued as an issue in some quarters. And now if you get on the internet, you can get the old Bhagavad Gita if you want. But the purpose of this presentation is to show how the editing of Srila Prabhupada's books, and my position, my name is Dravida Das. I learned editing in ISKCON from Jayadvaita Swami back in the early 70s. I've been in this movement for almost 40 years now, and most of that time I've worked as an editor for the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. I didn't work on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, but I've worked on subsequent revisions. The Krishna book, the Ishopanishad, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and now the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And so this presentation is meant to explain what the criteria was, what the justification was for making adjustments in Srila Prabhupada's books even after he left the planet. That's the idea behind this. In case there's any doubt, or in case you meet people who may have some doubts or have some questions, you'll be able to answer them. And the fact that most devotees are upstairs doing other things is fine. It means that it's not an issue for them, that they're resolved, they're not questioning. So maybe it's not an issue for you, but if you meet someone for whom it is an issue, you'll be ready with the answers. Okay, next slide. So here's an explanation of the book production methods. Many devotees don't know how Srila Prabhupada's books were actually produced. So here's some of the explanation. For books after the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, Srila Prabhupada typed out some manuscripts himself, such as the second canto and parts of the Bhagavad Gita. But for the most part, he dictated on a dictating machine. The history is that Srila Prabhupada began writing in India. In fact, his service was centered on that. He started the Back to Godhead magazine in 1944, before he even was planning to come to America. And then he kept distributing that, sometimes at great effort. He wrote most of the articles. He edited it, published it, and distributed it also. And then one friend told him, well, maybe it's better to print some books, because books are more permanent. The BTG, they'll look at it, throw it away, but a hardbound book that people tend to keep. So Prabhupada took that to heart, and that's when he began writing his Srimad Bhagavatam. And writing it means that he typed out everything, and I think he had an editor, but basically he did it all himself as before. He raised the money somehow. And when he had the 3 volumes of the first canto, that's when he felt ready to come to America. He had some ammunition, so to speak. So, as explained here, Prabhupada typed out the manuscripts. He also had typed out the manuscript for the second canto. He brought that with him. It needed to be retyped and so forth. That was one of the first engagements of Hayagriva Prabhu and some of the other devotees. And some of the Gita. But then, to speed things up, they gave Prabhupada a dictating machine, sometimes called a dictaphone, in which he could just speak his purports and translations and synonyms. And then devotees would type them out and then edit them, and that would produce the book. And that enabled us to have the 50, 60 books that we have. If Prabhupada was typing everything himself, it would have gone much, much slower. Early transcribers, now you can imagine, just take yourself back to 1966, and you're sitting there, Bhakta Steve or whoever it was, who could type. Many of the devotees couldn't type very well. And he's listening to Prabhupada. Prabhupada is speaking his accent. Sometimes he clipped off some of the things with the dictaphone. Sometimes he would quote a Sanskrit verse. It might as well have been Chinese or whatever, They couldn't understand it. So this is what they were dealing with. Early transcribers sometimes couldn't understand Srila Prabhupada's accent, the British or Indian English usages, or Sanskrit quotations. And sometimes he cut off words with the repeated switching of the microphone on and off. The intricacies of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness sometimes posed problems for early editors, and we'll show some of those examples soon. Also, there were no competent Sanskrit editors at first. Gradually, Pradyumna Das became expert. So this is a big thing. If you read Srila Prabhupada's books, it won't be long before you encounter Sanskrit terms. Certainly the verses of the Gita or the Bhagavatam, it's Sanskrit. And then there's all those synonyms, and then in the purports there's names and Sanskrit words. So it becomes a little bit formidable if you're not familiar with the language. So imagine the early transcribers. They didn't have anything to check with, they're hearing, so mistakes were made. Go ahead. So who were the editors? The early editors, main editors, were Hayagriva Das and Jayadvaita Das, then Das, with Rai Ramadas and Satsarup Das doing extensive work. So Hayagriva Das was the first editor. You can see it was Krishna's arrangement. When Prabhupada was more or less wandering around New York looking for a place to start his movement, he meets Hayagriva, then Howard Wheeler, on the street in Houston Street, which is lower Manhattan. And he happens to be an English professor. Just what he needs to publish his books. You can see Krishna is arranging things. So he becomes a prominent first devotee, and then he eventually takes up the editing work. He edited the books that Prabhupada had already printed. Prabhupada, his English was somewhat faulty. He admits that in the book. And Hayagriva re-edited those first cantos. And then he took up the Bhagavad Gita. That was the main work. So what did the editors do? They fixed transcription errors, corrected grammar and punctuation, revised wordings, reworked sentence structure, deleted redundancies, added text unintentionally missing, supplied chapter and verse references, made all sorts of other corrections. This is not ordinary editing. It's not like you write a novel and then you give it to an editor. And then the editor gives it back to you. What do you think of this? It's a collaboration. It can take 2 years to produce one book. It's not like that. There are whole other considerations. So you have to be a devotee. You have to understand some of the philosophy and so forth. And gradually they became expert. Okay, go ahead. Revisions during Prabhupada's time. Now, we'll read about it. In the course of such extensive editing by diverse editors under sometimes trying conditions, mistakes were made, you can imagine. Therefore, during Srila Prabhupada's time, he ordered that whenever these books were reprinted, these mistakes should be corrected. And here's an example of Srila Prabhupada himself finding some mistakes in his early books. We have to keep in mind that not only did we have the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya was one of the early books, but there were these small books as well. Some of you have seen Raja Vidya, of course, on chanting. That was produced later, but that size of book was very prominent, just to get things out on a mass scale. So after reading through a printing of Krishna Consciousness, the Topmost Yoga System, these books were put together from transcriptions of Prabhupada's lectures. After reading this book in 1970, and finding many mistakes, Srila Prabhupada wrote to Brahmananda Das, later Brahmananda Swami, then in charge of ISKCON Press, the forerunner of the BBT. Sorry about the misspelling. Go ahead. So this is a quote from Prabhupada's letter. In this way, I have read the book sporadically, not very minutely. I think it should be gone through once more very carefully, and all the mistakes that are still existing there should be corrected. If the books are printed with spelling mistakes and other mistakes, that will be a discredit for our publication. So please see that editorial work is done very nicely. So the first point here is that just understand the character of these books. That Srila Prabhupada is presenting the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, which is absolute. Which the first thing you learn is that this knowledge is coming down. It's not coming up, right? It's the descending process. And why can't we figure out all this stuff on our own? Because we have these 4 defects. We have imperfect senses. We make mistakes. We tend to become illusioned, and we cheat. These are the 4 defects. The imperfect senses include the mind. So all of this knowledge is really coming from a place beyond the reach. This is what transcendental means. You see? So we really depend on the channel being open and clear and perfect. That's the whole idea of the parampara. That the knowledge as it is starts with Krishna, comes to Brahma, Narada, Vyas, Madhva, and on down through our parampara to Prabhupada, to us through the books. So if somehow or other mistakes are in the book, then what is this? I thought this is free of cheating and bad senses and mistakes and all these things. You see how important it is to make these books right. So Prabhupada understood that very well. He said it's the credit for our publication, and let's be honest, it would be a discredit for the institution and also a discredit for him if suddenly there's all these obvious spelling mistakes and grammatical mistakes. You see, it's many, I don't know how familiar you are, but editing and proofreading are important. If you're reading something and suddenly you find some obvious spelling mistakes, the whole message, whatever it is, it becomes diminished, even if it's something mundane. That's why there's need for the spell check and all of this business, you know. So what to speak of, transcendental knowledge. It should be clear and free of mistakes. So Prabhupada understood that, obviously. So now the question is, okay, we got to get rid of the mistakes. Who would fix the mistakes? Hayagriva Das and Jayadvaita Das were Prabhupada's most trusted editors, and they both did major revisions during Prabhupada's time. Hayagriva did Easy Journey, TLC, that's the Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and the Sri Ishopanishad. And Jayadvaita did the first canto, chapters 1 and 2. In June, now this is a very important point, because this is all during Prabhupada's time. So the idea of revision was approved by him, by especially these two editors. In June of 1976, Jayadvaita Das personally presented to Prabhupada his revisions for the first 2 chapters of the Bhagavatam and began to read them aloud. After hearing the first few verses, Srila Prabhupada interrupted and asked, "So, what have you done?" Jayadvaita replied that he had revised the verses to make them closer to what Prabhupada himself had originally said. In other words, what he had originally said had in his what we call the Delhi Bhagavatams, the one that Prabhupada brought with him in the case. You can still get those in facsimile form. Nobody touched those. That was just Prabhupada bringing them himself. So what Prabhupada said there, that's the ultimate authority, right? So that's what he's explaining. And Prabhupada responded, "What I have said?" He replied, "Yes." And His Divine Grace said, "Then it is all right." And that was that the work was approved. Now the important thing here is that Prabhupada trusted his editor Jayadvaita Das to do the revision without going over them all himself. You see? He said, okay, this revision is accepted. And he had done 2 chapters. And we're going to show some of those revisions. You see? How Hayagriva Prabhu, he did so much good work, but he also made some mistakes that were then found by Jayadvaita, fixed, and accepted by Prabhupada sight unseen. This becomes important when we consider the Bhagavad Gita, which was revised after Prabhupada left the planet by the same editor, Jayadvaita Das. Okay, continue. So, then how confident was Prabhupada in Jayadvaita Das's editing? In June of 1976, this was the same time that he met Prabhupada and showed him these revisions. In June of 1976, Srila Prabhupada wrote this in a letter to Radhaballabha Das. "Concerning the editing of Jayadvaita Prabhu, whatever he does is approved by me. I have confidence in him." Prabhupada never said that about anybody else. Whatever he does is okay. This is quite an endorsement, and it's in a letter. It's not just a tape. This confidence of Srila Prabhupada in Jayadvaita Swami's editing, which he expressed at other times as well, continued to Prabhupada's final days. Now, some of you may have seen the DVDs in which it's showing Prabhupada on his final days in Vrindavan, and he's dictating. And Jayadvaita Das and Pradyumna Das are there with the dictating machine, hearing that and recording it, the last purports. 10th canto, chapter 13, with Brahma stealing the calves and boys. That's the last chapter Prabhupada did. And so there he was. He had full confidence in Jayadvaita Das. It's proved by those DVDs. Okay, go on. So now here's the issue of, okay, so that's one issue. The issue is, what about revising after Prabhupada left the planet? It's one thing if you revise when he's on the planet. But here we see the instance, as we just read, that Srila Prabhupada accepted Jayadvaita Das's editing without going over everything. So there's no qualitative change that after Prabhupada leaves the planet, he's revising the Bhagavad Gita for the same reason, from the same editor who made similar mistakes. I agree. So now the question is, well, what about when Prabhupada hears these very translations or purports read to him from the Bhagavad Gita, and he doesn't say anything, there's nothing wrong with him? Isn't that a stamp of approval? And so Shrutikirti Prabhu, who you may know, was Prabhupada's servant for the longest time. He witnessed directly what Prabhupada was doing. He has this remembrance. It was published in his book, What is the Difficulty? Whenever Srila Prabhupada read his own books, it seemed as if someone else had written his books, because he didn't read with the mind of an author looking for editing mistakes or grammatical errors. What is the difficulty? This is quoted from What is the Difficulty, page 114. Now, being an editor, I know the difference. Sometimes I just read, and I'm not thinking, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? Is this right? I'm just reading through the book, But at other times, I'm looking at every word. I'm thinking, is this spelled right? Is this grammatically right? It's a different mindset. It's a different stop the reading and said there's something wrong. But sometimes he did. Once, especially this, I don't know if it's here, but go on, I'll see if it's here. Okay, so I'll explain. In the 18th chapter, there's an explanation of the duties of the different varnas, right? And when you get down to the Vaishyas, you have Krishna Go Rakshavanabja, Vaishya Karma Svabhavatam. So Krishi Go Raksha Vanajam. These are the duties of the Vaishya, the ones who are making money, who are supporting all the other ashrams. So Krishi means plowing. In other words, it means farming. Go Raksha means protecting cows. Vanajam means doing business. Those are the three aspects of Vaishya Dharma. But instead of cow protection for Go Raksha, we had cattle raising. That was somehow that got in there from Hayagriva Prabhu. And Prabhupada happened to give 3 classes on this verse. The first 2, he didn't say anything. The third one, he says, that shouldn't be cattle raising. He stopped the reading. It should be cow protection. Because idiomatically, cattle raising means raising cows for slaughter in America. I don't know if it's that way in England. Isn't it? If you hear cattle raising, you don't think of milk cows, dairy cows. That's just the way it is. But Prabhupada, his English was his second language, a third language. It didn't register at first. Then it did. So Prabhupada sometimes made comments like that. He did occasionally with reading the Bhagavatam also. But generally he didn't. The way the books were produced required extensive editing by, especially in the early days, inexperienced editors, which inevitably resulted in mistakes. This is all about the Bhagavad Gita. So the revisions, keeping in mind these factors. Prabhupada wanted his books free of mistakes, and therefore authorized his editors to make revisions on reprints. Prabhupada had full confidence in Jayadvaita Das as an editor and accepted his revisions on the first canto of the Bhagavatam, sight unseen. Ordinarily, Prabhupada did not hear or read his books in an editorial mood attuned to catching mistakes. And sometimes there were some serious mistakes, which we'll show in a minute. Okay, so now let's go through some of the kind of mistakes that Jayadvaita Swami fixed. Now, the biggest change in the Bhagavad Gita, of all of them, and there are quite a few, is in chapter 9, text 26. Chapter 9 is the most confidential knowledge, and text 26 is this famous Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. This is the verse that many devotees know. It means Krishna is saying that one who offers me a fruit, flower, water, what else? Grain, leaf, with love and devotion, I will accept it. Right? And there's a whole explanation in there, if you open your Bhagavad Gita, of prasadam and how easy it is and important. Anyone can do it anywhere over the world. This whole paragraph. So I'm going to read this. Now, the significant aspect of this is that it's omitted. It's not there in the Macmillan Gita. We call it the Macmillan Gita, just to do review for those who aren't familiar. There are actually 3 Bhagavad Gitas printed by the ISKCON. The first one was an abridged version. We call it the Kalayar Gita, or the Blue Gita. This was a book. Prabhupada wanted to get the Gita out. And Macmillan Company, which also owned Kalayar at the time, they weren't ready to commit themselves to the 1,000-page book that we have now. They didn't know if there was a market for it. Said, no, you have to abridge it to a much smaller book. So Prabhupada didn't like that, but this was we didn't have our own press at that time. We were dependent on an external publisher. So Prabhupada agreed, and he abridged the Gita a lot. If you get a copy of this book, you'll see that many of the verses have no purports, and the purports that are there are often compressed like that. But it was an important first step, and because the book was popular, Macmillan later agreed to print the big one. Okay, so this particular verse because it deals with prasadam, and prasadam is so prominent and important in the way the movement grew and is being sustained, had an extensive purport with this paragraph in there. But when somehow or other, when the Macmillan Gita was published, which was published later in 1972, the Collier Gita, if you will, was published in like 68 or 69. And 3 years later, they finally got it together to publish the whole Macmillan Gita. Prabhupada was ecstatic. Now he has it with all the Sanskrit and the extensive purports, you see. Macmillan agreed. He said, oh, the other one was so popular? Okay, you can have it. But this paragraph was missing. Somehow or other, it got dropped out. So look at some of the wonderful preaching here that is not there in the Macmillan Gita. That Jayawada Das, Brahma, at that time, Swami at that time, he restored. For the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, in order to achieve a permanent blissful abode for eternal happiness. The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor without any kind of qualification. The process is so easy that even a leaf or a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one, therefore, can be barred from Krishna consciousness because it is so easy and universal. Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method and thus attain the highest perfection of life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge? Now, is there anybody here who would think that this should be omitted because it's not in the Macmillan Gita? This was restored, and there's more. You see those dots in there? That means that there's even more. So this is the biggest change. It was resurrected. It was resurrected by Jayawada Swami from the old Gita. And it certainly was there. Prabhupada wanted it. These powerful words of Prabhupada's, part of a whole omitted paragraph at the start of the purport, have been restored. So this is the biggest example of restoration. Next. Here's some other change. In 1021 purport, it appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. Now, this is the verse where Krishna says, Nakshatranam aham shashi. Those of you who are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving a whole list of things in the 10th chapter, that his vibhuti, his excellences and opulence are manifest in. Of fish, I am, who knows? Shark, the shark. Of bodies of water, what do you think? The ocean, right. So here he says, he's talking about Nakshatranam aham shashi. Of all of the stars, I am the moon. Now, for extra credit, who knows why the moon is called Shashi? Does anyone know what Shashi means? Rabbit. Yes, rabbit. Because they see a rabbit in the moon. It looks like the rabbit up there. Like sometimes you see, oh, there's a deer, there's some animal. So it's called Shashi, believe it or not. Anyway, so Krishna says, Nakshatranam aham shashi, and Prabhupada, he has a whole paragraph of which this is one of the telling sentences, that these stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. Well, that's a big surrender. I mean, didn't we learn in second grade that there's only one sun, and those stars are other suns in other galaxies and everything? The sun is just for the solar system. Prabhupada is saying something that requires us to kind of discard that. Hayagriva didn't do that. He didn't accept this cosmography. He just X'd out that purport. This was an irresponsible editing at the time. But it was just 1967, 68, 69, so he did it. Jayawada noticed it. He restored that, the whole paragraph explaining that. The first editor thought this statement unacceptable, so he deleted it along with the rest of the paragraph. The paragraph was restored in 1983. At the end of the introduction, 7 verses from the Gita Mahatmya that Srila Prabhupada spoke during the dictation have been restored, and 1 verse Srila Prabhupada didn't speak has been deleted. You see? So, you can. One of the significant things of this deletion is that, or restoration, is that you can hear the tape. That recording exists. And you can hear Prabhupada, chanting these verses from the Gita Mahatmya. Somehow or other, they were left out by the first editor, and they've been restored. In general, dozens and dozens of Sanskrit words, from single words to phrases to whole verses, have been restored in the purports. Now, Srila Prabhupada took so much trouble in quoting these verses, many of them from the commentary of Baladeva Vijayabhushan, which he was relying on heavily, but other sources or his own verses bringing in from Bhagavatam. And remember, the first editors, they didn't know much or anything. And the Sanskrit editors couldn't really check the original Sanskrit to see what Prabhupada was saying. And there was a time pressure. And there was no internet. And you see the difficulty of production. So it's understandable. So now, at the distance of, 14 years later, in 1983 or 82, they could do all these things. They had the manuscripts. They had the skill to be able to read them. And so a lot of this stuff was restored, which Prabhupada wanted in there. It lends so much authority to these purports when Prabhupada keeps quoting many from the Upanishads and other scripture. Next. Did you know that the Macmillan Gita didn't have a translation for chapter 8, text 18, but rather two versions of chapter 8, text 19, and that the purport for 19 was appended to the full 18 translation. The translation for 818 has been restored and the purport put right. So no one could guess this. The translations are similar, but when Jayawada examined them carefully, he saw the problem and he fixed it. Now, 934. This is one of the most famous verses in the Gita. It's repeated practically word for word in 1865. Any verse that's repeated, is very important. And so, this is the essence of the teachings, the most confidential. Manmana, bhavaman bhakto, madhyaji, mam namaskuru. Think of me, become my devotee, offer your homage to me, bow down to me. Certainly you will come to me. But in 934, this is the translation we had from the Macmillan Gita. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisance to me, and worship me. That's the present translation. Krishna's essential instruction, become my devotee, isn't there in this translation from the Macmillan Gita, but it is there in the present edition. You see the importance there? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. When you see that old painting of Krishna and Arjuna on the cover, you know that's the old Gita. And you see what they did, they didn't retype anything. They didn't reset the book. They just shot off the old book. So that mistake about the cattle raising, that's still there. Even though Prabhupada said directly to fix that one, they can't fix it because they haven't reset it. Now, in 1854, these are all examples of restoration of text that need to be in there. One who is thus transcendently situated, some of you may know the Gita, Brahma, Bhuta, Prasannatma, Nashochati, Nakanchati. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman. He never laments nor desires to have anything. Now, what happened to becomes fully joyful? See, the word Prasannatma means that you're fully joyful. But in this translation, one who is thus transcendently situated once realizes Supreme Brahman. We're missing that. How many times did Prabhupada quote this verse just to focus on that point, which is also mentioned in the purport? Now it also appears in the translation to the book. Remember, going back to my earlier point, the Bhagavad Gita, more than any other book, is read and studied throughout academia now. It's a very famous book. Even before Prabhupada came, there were translations which he knew about. Back in the late 19th century, you had Emerson and Thoreau and the others. They're reading this book, right? So it's known. The book is known. The Sanskrit is known. It's simple. We can't have a Bhagavad Gita that we're going to present in academia that has these obvious mistakes in the translation. It's not going to fly, especially since Prabhupada emphasizes those points, and he speaks about it in the purport. And whenever he quotes the verse in a lecture, that's one of the main points that you see the importance of. Next. Okay. Then another category of mistakes that Jayawada Swami fixed, garbled transcriptions. Remember, you have these early devotees trying to hear what Prabhupada is saying. 1029, the famous, there is also a planet of trees presided over by Aryama. Prabhupada said pit trees. You see the problem? Pit trees. It is a planet of ancestors. It's actually those who oversee the Shraddha ceremony, hooked up to the ancestors. So, planet of trees. And, devotees say, far out, there's a planet of the trees somewhere. But then there isn't a planet of the trees. At least he wasn't speaking about a planet of trees here. 1417. From the mode of passion, grief develops. The right word is greed, not grief. It's right there in the sentence, lobha. Rajaso lobha evacha. The Sanskrit word is lobha. The transcriber misheard greed as grief. This happens all the time, mishearings. 1027, the devotee demigods and the demons, or asuras, once took a sea journey. Nope. Srila Prabhupada said there was a churning of the sea in which the devotee demigods and the asuras took part. The transcriber heard journey for churning. In other words, the demigods and demons churned the sea to get nectar. Now with the advent of the 8th canto, everyone knows the pastime. But in those days, they had no idea. So you can't really fault them, but it had to be fixed, obviously. You know, it's almost comical when you look at it. Meaningless words fixed. You know, you have to understand. Here we're reading the book, and it's the absolute truth, and we're thinking, you think this is what is the absolute truth is, but then you find out it's not this. It's actually, it's a very important service Maharaj did. Sometimes we understand that I am happy, I am mad, I am a woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are the knowers. Fixed 2, sometimes we think, quote, I am happy, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are the bodily designations of the knower. That would make sense, you see? The fact that each one of those is in a quote, it makes a whole lot of difference. Otherwise, it's the same person thinking, I'm happy, I'm mad, I'm a woman, I'm a dog. You see, it doesn't make sense. You see it? You understand? In the second chapter, the very first purport at the end, this realization is made possible by working with the fruit of being situated in the fixed conception of the real self. So think about that a minute. Does that make any sense? Is the fruit of being fixed in the conception of the real self? No. Only the non-fruit of being is fixed. If you look at what Prabhupada originally typed, you'll see there's a comma missing. If there's one comma, then so it's fixed. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruit of results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. So what the editors do is that we make sure that Prabhupada's intended meaning comes through. And as far as possible, we try to keep Prabhupada's original wording. This is an essential fact of the editing, and I did that extensively in the work I did. Okay, let's see what we had. Here's another one, purport restored to the right verse. Now this is another problem, is that sometimes the purport was put on the wrong verse. In 1831 and 32, I'm sorry, it should be 32. The Bhagavad Gita 1831 describes intelligence in the mode of passion. And 1832 describes intelligence in the mode of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada wrote a purport to 1832, but not 1831. Somehow, the original editor took the purport to 1832 and appended it to 1831. Since Prabhupada's purport described intelligence in ignorance, the original editor substituted passion for ignorance. Now, that doesn't work. That's a major problem. So here's what the Macmillan Gita said. Intelligence in the mode of passion is always working perversely. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. All views and activities are misguided. Men of passionate intelligence understand a great soul to be a common man and accept the common man as a great soul. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of passion. Now, actually, intelligence in the mode of passion means that you're not sure. You're unclear about what's dharma and what's undharma, what's not dharma. But mode of ignorance, you're always backwards. You're always going the wrong way. This is clearly about the mode of ignorance. And so let's see what it was fixed to. It should read, intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working in the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. Now, we won't read the rest of this. I mean, this is the original transcript which confirms this reading of the thing. And it all comes out when you realize, it belongs on the verse about intelligence and mode of ignorance. If you're convinced this belongs to the mode of passion, then you're in trouble and you make some... So that changing of ignorance to passion, that was a serious editorial failure, that needed to be fixed. Okay, a couple more of these and then we'll be finished. Now, the big one, the one that caused the huge uproar, because in the early days, after Prabhupada disappeared, the big issue was the continuation of the parampara. Who's going to be the gurus? Who's going to see the movement carried forward? And many of you know the history. We had a problem with that, and it's ongoing. So this one, anytime in the books where Prabhupada is talking about initiation of spiritual masters, it's a very sensitive point. And this translation caused a big uproar in some quarters. So the verse is, Tadviddi panipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana, where Krishna himself is saying to understand the science, you need to approach a spiritual master who is a tattvadarshi, who has seen the truth, and you have to approach in the right way, with surrender and service and inquiry. And then he will impart knowledge to you. That's what Krishna is saying there. So here's the old edition. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. And that read perfectly. Nobody thought there was a mistake there. And it's one way of reading it. And at that time, Prabhupada was the only self-realized soul. It made perfect sense. So it refers to Prabhupada. But then as you go on, and you look at the actual text, here's what the new edition says. Just try to learn the truth by approaching spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So now we have plural. You see? Now, what's the justification? Let's look at it. The original transcript, what Prabhupada dictated, try to know the truth of all these by approaching self-realized spiritual master with all submission, enquiries, and rendering service unto him. Such learned self-realized spiritual master initiates knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Now you see we have a mix there of the singular and the plural. So you have to go one way or the other. So I agree, since Prabhupada had singular in the beginning, and half of the last sentence was singular, he just went with the singular. Okay, we'll just go spiritual master instead of they have seen the truth because he has seen the truth. And we're done. The only problem is the Sanskrit is in the plural, so go on. The Macmillan synonyms, now these are the synonyms, or word by word. Upadekshanti, initiate, that's plural, that's a plural verb, initiate. Te, unto you, jnanam, knowledge, jnaninaha, the self-realized, that's also plural. Tattva, truth, darshinaha, the seers. These are Prabhupada's own synonyms. So now we have a conflict between the word by words and the actual translation. It's clearly plural in the word-by-word meanings. Sanskrit is plural in the verb initiate and the twofold subject, the self-realized and the seers. Prabhupada's translation mixes singular and plural. We just went through that. Hayagriva Prabhu went with singular throughout. It made perfect sense, but violated the Sanskrit. Jayaweda Swami restored the plural in the last sentence and made it grammatical. Now, this one could have gone either way. He could have left it. But then you have a problem. You would need to change the word-by-word meanings. But those are Prabhupada's own. And they have in the original transcript, so he recognized the plural. Now let's see some other support for the plural. Now, Srila Prabhupada's expanded translation to 434 in his essay, Interpretations of the Bhagavad Gita, circa 1948. There are some writings of Prabhupada that haven't been published. You find some of them in the Veda base, that unpublished manuscripts, and this is one of them, an essay he wrote called Interpretations of the Bhagavad Gita. And in there, he has an expanded translation of this verse, and you see what he says. It is therefore stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one who actually wants to have an access to the essence of the Bhagavad Gita must himself engage in the service of a bona fide spiritual master by full surrender. Okay, so now we're singular. In that position only, one can make bona fide inquiries regarding the Bhagavad Gita. And in that posture only, the self-realized spiritual masters impregnate the submissive disciple with the knowledge of Gita because they have already seen the truth of it. Tadvidi pranipatena, etc. So here in this translation, Prabhupada is giving the plural. So the idea is that you approach a spiritual master, but there's not just one spiritual master. Even for an individual, there's several. There's one initiating spiritual master, but there could be many instructing spiritual masters. Diksha and Shiksha Gurus. We learn this in the first chapter of the Adi Leela. Adi Leela chapter 1. Please read it. It's very important for understanding the relationship between the different kinds of gurus. So Krishna is saying that there are so many realized souls. You see? Approach one of them, surrender and inquire. And they can initiate, they can impart the knowledge into you. That's what he's saying. Go ahead. So in conclusion, the latest editions are closest to Prabhupada's original words and intended meaning. And I have a longer presentation of this, but since this was a shorter version, I gave examples of what I did in the Krishna book and the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Ishopanishad. Now I have the TLC. And it's along the same exact lines that you've seen here. I was trained by Jayaveda Swami in editing. And I'm fully sensitive to the need to, if at all possible, leave it as it is. You see? But sometimes, especially when there's support from an original transcript, or in case of the Delhi Bhagavatams, the original book, or in the case of the Ishopanishad, the manuscript Prabhupada typed out in India, originally. Each book has its own unique history. Then we have some support for changing it. Prabhupada obviously intended this, but somehow, due to the imperfections of our production staff, it came out as this. Then we especially have. But the Macmillan Gita is the big one, so I just dealt with it in this presentation. The argument that the Macmillan Gita presents Prabhupada's original words more faithfully than the 1983 edition is specious. In other words, the argument looks plausible until you actually examine what was done and why. The same holds true for the other revised books, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Krishna book, Sri Ishopanishad, now the TLC. The original editors did great service for Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan mission, but for various reasons they made mistakes, which Srila Prabhupada wanted fixed on the reprints, and he wanted them fixed by his trusted editors. I will close by again providing Srila Prabhupada's essential instruction to his editors concerning mistakes in his books. And just one more. In this way, I have read the book sporadically, not very minutely. I think it should be gone through once more very carefully, and all the mistakes that are still existing there should be corrected. If the books are printed with spelling mistakes and other mistakes, that will be a discredit for our publication. So please see that editorial work is done very nicely. And I think there's one more slide. For more on the BBT editorial policy and the book revisions, please read Responsible Publishing, included in the database. If you don't have that, just write to me. I'll send it to you. And visit www.bbtedit.com. So does anyone have any question or discussion on these points? Yes, Prabhu. We need the mic, the other mic, one of the other mics. He has a portable. Hope it works. Go ahead.
One of the problems I always had when reading Prabhupada is, like some of the verses, he would translate them in terms of bhakti interpretation of it. While the word is general, like an example is last verse of second canto, Brahma Nirvanam Rachyati. Brahma Nirvanam Rachyati. Okay. It says Brahma Nirvanam Rachyati. And Prabhupada would translate as, he will enter the kingdom of God. Right. Said, hold on, what Brahma Nirvanam Rachyati, impersonalists would say in its own way, and right. Kingdom of God, Prabhupada is saying. So why didn't Prabhupada just literally translated them and just give his purport, and then in the purport he can say Brahma Nirvana Vrachati means kingdom of God.
Well, Prabhupada explained that he wanted to present the Gita as it is, even though in various places Krishna uses the word Brahman. In the 5th chapter, the same thing. You'll find Brahma Nirvana there a lot, right? And but it's clear from the whole book that Brahma Nirvana means, back to Godhead, means the kingdom of God. That's where real Brahman is. In other words, Prabhupada is bringing some of that into the translations. It's true. And he explains in the purport, how that is so. So this is what Prabhupada chose to do. And we follow that. Because what you find is, in other, maybe you can turn yours off. I think that may be causing. You find in other translations, academic translations. I'll tell you a story. I was there in 1982 in Philadelphia when Jayaveda Swami was working on this project. He was working on the revision. And in order to do that, he took some other Bhagavad Gitas. He had several others too as a reference. And one of them was produced in academia. And it had the strict translation. I don't think there was any purport. Each verse had one page. It was a very expensive book because they print a few of them and they cost like $100 or something, for a course or something. So he took it out of the library and he was able to. And if you read through that Bhagavad Gita, you have no idea, that you're supposed to serve Krishna. You simply don't come out with that understanding. And now, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, the revised Bhagavad Gita, has been distributed, by the millions, really, and so many languages. And actually, the conclusion of the Gita is being realized by so many people. Krishna's conclusion. He says right in the Bhagavad Gita, to understand me in truth, one has to be a bhakta, to practice bhakti. So the same holds true for his Bhagavad Gita. And yes, Prabhupada translated Brahma Nirvana as the kingdom of God, because ultimately that's what it means, to real Brahma Nirvana. I mean, it's explained elsewhere that your impersonal nirvana or Brahman is really not firm. You cannot sustain it. There's this famous verse in the 10th canto, Ye nye aravindaksha vimukta maninas, tvayasta bhavat avishuddha buddhaya, aruha kutrena parang padang tata patantya anadrita yushmat angriya. So that param padam is Brahma Nirvana. This is a state beyond the modes of nature, you see. But when that's achieved through great austerity, now none of us here are practicing anything like great austerity, And great austerity means, you're swimming in the Himalayan streams in the middle of winter. In the middle of summer, you go down to the desert and you got the fire and there's all this fasting and you don't cut your hair and you don't cut your nails and you're completely alone and there's no thought of sex. And, this is what they're doing. In other words, completely repressing all the senses as hard as they can. And even after all of that, very few of them can actually achieve that parampadam. But in this verse it says, because they are averse to serving Krishna's lotus feet and their intelligence is impure, it means they're envious of Krishna, they eventually come down. Patantyadho anadrita yushmat angriya, because they're not ready to. Now, that verse, in conjunction with the other one, Brahma Nirvana, Krishna's not going to say you can achieve Brahma Nirvana, some impersonal thing. He's saying that if you can achieve real Brahma Nirvana, means in Krishna's abode. That's where real liberation lies. And we don't have to perform all those severe austerities. So when you take it in context, that's the meaning that Krishna is conveying. And I understand how, why don't we just bring it out in the purport? Well, this is what Prabhupada chose to do, to put it into the translation as well, and to leave it for us to point out that, yes, Brahma Nirvana literally means a state beyond the modes of nature, beyond any entanglement in the material world. But that's only possible when you're in the spiritual world, and therefore this translation is good. So that's the best I can do with that. It's not the only the verse that's like that. There are others. But that's what we accept. This is our acharya. And the results are people become devotees from reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Whereas others, there's a lot of confusion. Anyone else? Okay. Very good. Yes?
This is more out of curiosity, Prabhu. Thanks a lot for the excellent presentation. In general, so revisions, do they have a timeline or...
Revisions are?
Is there a timeline for the revisions, or because the evidence that is needed to make the revisions is already there, so just to...
Yeah, in other words, is there a point at which you say no more revisions? Yeah, a lot of devotees ask that. To be honest with you, which we should be, always, especially in front of the deities, revisions have continued since 1983 on the Bhagavad Gita. Not nearly as many, very small, very little. In the last several years, we haven't made any. But due to the vastness of the text and the complications of it, I found various things that should be corrected. Jayavada Swami also found several. And so we've made revisions since 83, but now basically this is it, it's more or less as it is. Although just earlier this year, in the course of going over the extensive original transcript, Jayavada Swami saw that there was a sentence that had been written that Prabhupada wrote in his own hand, and it was attached on the back of a manuscript. It wasn't obvious, and we inserted that in to a purport. This is Prabhupada's own hand. So there's still ongoing corrections every day. I get suggestions from Bhakti Vikas Swami, who reads the books very meticulously, and many of them are just technical things. This should be italics here. This is the wrong spelling of this town in Mayapur, in India somewhere. Little things like that. There's very, very little of great substance. We've gone over these books again and again. So when we accept the principle that the books should be as close to Prabhupada as they possibly should be, then we understand, when you look at the vastness of it, and I'll show you, if you're interested, some of the original transcripts. They're very complex. They're full of all kinds of marks, and I have JPEGs of almost all of them on my computer, so we can check. But it's like, when you sweep the floor, you get almost everything. Then there's just a little bit more, and you sweep that up, and before you know it, you get almost nothing. So that's the way it's working now. Okay. The Bhagavatam? Is it your? I'm sorry. Other books like? We're more experienced, and especially the Sanskrit editors could see the original text. So we have all the books I worked on were produced very early. Krishna book, Isho, TLC is actually the first book, Bhagavad Gita, but the Bhagavatams and the CC as less. Now, it had some, because especially 17 books in 2 months. Try to understand what that means. The editors are going crazy. The typists are going, retyping 24 hours. Sometimes they'd skip a line. And if it looks like it maybe makes some meaning, it would be missed. And I come 20 years later, in 1995. So wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And they go back to the original and say, yeah, actually, there's a whole line missing there. One of them I'll share with you, and I wanted. Now we have like till 11:45 or so. So there's one line, I didn't put it in this, where Prabhupada says he's speaking about the importance of association, and when he talks about association of devotees, he means association of his ISKCON devotees, because that's all over the world. And he's saying if one feels that there are no pure devotees in the ISKCON movement, then one can keep direct company with the spiritual master, like that. But there was a line missing there. That was the way it read for 20 years. It was produced in 1975, and that's the way it read. Okay, makes sense. But what Prabhupada actually said, even if one thinks that there's no pure devotees in the movement, still one should stick to the society. That line was left out. And if one still thinks there's no, then he can keep company with the spiritual master. It wasn't intentional. It was a typist skipped it, and it looked like it made sense. So I felt that should go back in there as an eternal instruction of Prabhupada. Is that don't leave. Prabhupada, ask Bhakti Charu Swami. He emphasizes this. Prabhupada told him, you may feel so many discomforts, so many struggles, so many conflicts, but don't leave the society. Stay within the society and try to purify it, and things go on. So this was a direct instruction of Prabhupada that was resurrected. There's a whole purport also that I found that was missed, was on the back of a page, So that was the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which was produced with experienced editors, but the special case of such the speed caused a lot of mistakes. So it's the other books, the Nectar of Devotion was gone over already. The books are basically done now, all of the original books. The Bhagavatam is another project, but it's mostly done, by Jayavada Swami and Pradyumna. They were very experienced, so we're okay. All right, I wanted to do something a little different because I know this is kind of dry. So but it's important, so I don't want to diminish it. So I have another slideshow that I'd like to share with you. And this one. So this is called a sweet song. Now, I guess my drummer is there. Do we have a karto player also? Kartos are easy. Can you play in time? Just get him some kartos. So this has absolutely nothing to do with the changes in the books. This was just something that I worked up. It was inspired by the few of you who have performed the austerity of sitting through the last one. You get to do this. This is the Giridhari in San Diego. There's a poem by Sri Vallabhacharya called the Madhurashtika. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's in a song book that's on the Veda base. And basically it's Madhuram, Madhuram. You know, the refrain is Madhuradipatera Kilam Madhuram. The emperor of sweetness is all sweet. You know, Madhuram Vadanam, Madhuram Nayanam, like that, you know. So I took that idea and I made an English version of it. So we'll sing this together. It also has some kirtan, and I need your cooperation. I'll give you a signal. Okay, let's start. Now, go ahead. So this is the first line, and after we sing the first line, then you hit it again, and the second line will come in. And there, okay? So you ready? 1 and 2. His lips are sweet, his smile is sweet, his lips are sweet. Now you have to repeat. His lotus eyes and face are sweet. His heart is sweet, his name is sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His glossy curly locks are sweet. His dancing sidelong glance is sweet. His eyebrows playful gestures sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His voice is sweet, his words are sweet. His tinkling ankle bells are sweet. His flute song and his laughter sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His lotus feet and hands are sweet. His waist and lotus navel sweet. His threefold bending pose is sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His jaunty peacock plume is sweet. His forest flower garland sweet. His gunja berry necklace sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His jeweled ornaments are sweet. His garments and his fragrance sweet. His flute and horn and staff are sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Bom 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 Bom, Hare Rama. His cows and cowherd friends are sweet. His giddy Govardhan is sweet. His dear Yamuna river is sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Bo, Hare Ram, Ram. His forest wanderings are sweet. His foot dust and his gait are sweet. His dancing and his joy are sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Bo, Hare Ram. His mimicry of birds is sweet. His wordplay and his songs are sweet. His daily forest picnic sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Bo, Hare Ram. His jokes and playful pranks are sweet. His generosity is sweet. His love for his companions sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Mo, Hare Ram. His moonlit autumn night is sweet. His calling all in gopis sweet. His blessed rasa dance is sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His secret rendezvous is sweet. His dalliance with Radha sweet. Her love for him supremely sweet. The King of sweet is sweet complete. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. My humble hymn is no great feat, yet still I pray that it may meet with favor from the King of sweet, so he'll reveal his lotus feet. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Mo, Hare Ram. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So that ends our presentation for this morning. Thank you for your attention. Somehow there's more people in the temple now than doing the responsible editing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this session is titled Standard Prayers within the sadhana model prescribed by Srila Prabhupada. So our weekend has been understanding, hearing about, participating in, and getting a better sense of prayers and how we can enhance our bhakti. Sometimes devotees get very analytical about things, and even the most well-intentioned devotees unintentionally fall into over-analyzing their situation too much. So much so like that they forget that life otherwise, or devotional life otherwise, is actually very sweet and tasteful. It is like dissecting a gulab jamun. If you know me, you have to get used to the fact that all my examples are food related. And I was told yesterday that I am in the Annamaya stage. So for me, my whole reality revolves around food. So imagine you have a wonderful, juicy gulab jamun, and instead of gobbling it down quickly, you cut it open, you try to figure out how much flour is there, how much milk powder, what's the proportion of sugar to water, what's this boiled at what temperature. I mean, you completely messed up the gulab jamun. So devotees sometimes, myself included, we fall into this over-analytical mode and lose the taste for experiencing the wonderful gifts. Gifts are not things, gifts are people. Krishna's gift to us is the association of his devotees. So I like to speak on this topic, so that's all I talk about. It can be getting a little boring, but hey. So, for me, a very inspiring aspect is the way Srila Prabhupada has designed our sadhana model. His prescription is perfect because he is the perfect doctor, if you will. He is curing our disease called the disease of material existence. So he has given us the right medicine, of course, the Hare Krishna mantra. But medicine must be taken with proper regimen. Otherwise, the medicine may not be effective. You know, whenever I talk about medicine, I narrate this story. There was a man who was very obese, so big that he almost had he was at risk for a severe heart attack. So he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you first consult with the dietitian. So he sat down with the dietitian, and the dietitian asked, what do you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? So he started telling what all he eats. I mean, his list for breakfast was longer than Krishna's Rajbhog. What to speak of lunch and then dinner? The dietitian had a heart attack just listening to it. What to speak of actually eating like that? So he said, all right, let me tell you what you should do. And told him, 1 dry chapati, no salt, no ghee, no oil, no butter, just dry chapati, and 2 florets of broccoli. This is what you should eat. So the man said, oh, okay. And he left. He came back a few minutes later and he said, I have a question, I have a doubt. And my doubt is, this dry chapati and broccoli, should I eat it before my meal or after my meal? And the doctor said, no, that is your meal. So there has to be proper regimen for medicine. We are chanting Hare Krishna, that's wonderful. Many of us, perhaps most of us or all of us or many of us either aspire for or are chanting 16 rounds. But chanting our 16 rounds cannot be and should not be in isolation. Not isolation means alone in some room, not like that. Cannot be in isolation with the rest of our activities of the day. And so Srila Prabhupada gave us a perfect way by which we approach the chanting of our japa, by which we prepare our consciousness. So gulab jamun is, the perfection of the gulab jamun is when you put the fried ball in the sugar syrup. But for that you need preparation. You need to prepare the syrup, you need to gather all the ingredients, the warm milk, roll it into the balls, fry them at low heat. This is not a cooking class, but you get the idea. There's preparation required for the perfection of the activity. Without preparation, without making the environment conducive to what we are doing, we cannot expect the best result. So, for example, we cannot go to sleep grumpy or wake up grumpy and expect that day we'll chant the best 16 rounds. Impossible. Of course, the holy name is most powerful and not dependent on anything. That is true. But our access to that holy name requires proper preparation. So I don't know, Srila Prabhupada never expressed it like that. This is my appreciation of things. That Srila Prabhupada gave us such a beautiful structure. Is structure required? Answer is yes. Structure is required because within structure comes perfection. This is our philosophy. The perfection of Krishna Prema comes from structured execution of bhakti. It's called sadhana bhakti. In fact, it's called Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Vaidhi sadhana means following of the practice of Krishna consciousness within a structure of rules and regulations. Rules and regulations are structure. And without structure, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what to do. We don't know what not to do. So structure is important, and Prabhupada has given us a beautiful structure. So the whole day, Prabhupada, I'm not going to speak about the whole day. I don't think I have the time. I am going to narrow it down to just the morning program part, and that too not probably the whole thing, but just certain aspects of it. But Prabhupada gave us a structure for the day as what we call the sandwich program. Sandwich program is in the morning, we bathe our consciousness with the chanting of the holy name. More importantly, actually, glorifying the spiritual master first, then chanting of the holy name, glorifying Krishna and Krishna's devotees, hearing the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. And armed with that, we spend a good chunk of our day engaging in activities that help us to apply what we've heard in the morning. This is what occupational duty means. It's the opportunity to apply. It's not the time that I code some software or solve a problem or something. It's the opportunity for applying what we heard. And then the evening is meant for the evening is meant for reinforcing, strengthening what we heard in the morning or what we forgot during the course of the day. It is quite possible that we are armed with something in the morning, and by the time the day progresses, we've forgotten some things. So the evening is meant to revive it again, especially glorifying Lord Chaitanya, what we call Gaura Arati. It's not something that, I have to go to Gaura Arati. But Gaura Arati, the whole idea is glorifying Lord Chaitanya and his associates. Because we're part of the Sankirtan movement. And then listening to Bhagavad Gita. These are words that Krishna has spoken. So it instills in us every day, day by day, firm faith. We cannot expect that faith grows like that. In fact, nothing in this world grows like that except envy. What grows steadily and gradually or progressively is faith. And faith doesn't grow if it is not nurtured. In fact, nothing grows if it's not nurtured, if it's not given the due attention. So it is our responsibility. It is not someone else's. It is not the guru's only. It is our responsibility solely to make sure that our faith is being nurtured by us. It is the duty of the disciple to go to whatever degree, whatever extent necessary to strengthen his or her faith. Although it usually happens that the guru works harder than the disciple. Actually, the guru is meant to give instruction, and the disciple is meant to work hard to fulfill that instruction, to realize that instruction. But many times, the guru works harder than the disciple. In fact, the guru is serving the disciple. Actually, that is true. The Bhagavad Gita has this picture where Krishna is the chariot driver of Arjuna. In our life also it is true. The guru, although the most confidential servant, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastra, he is our chariot driver, he is serving us. We shouldn't feel, wow, Guru is serving. That's the position they take anyway, figuratively speaking, but we also literally let it happen that way. The Guru babies us like anything. Some of us have really been spoiled. True or not true? True. Really, spoiled by the Guru. I'm saying it in a nice way, but you get the idea. But it is our responsibility to nurture and grow our faith in Guru, in the process of bhakti, and in Krishna ultimately. So Srila Prabhupada gave us this structure, especially the morning. Before we came to Krishna consciousness, some of us bathed early in the morning. Some of us. Most of us bathed later in the day. Of course, we only woke up when the sun was at its zenith. For us, the whole concept of Brahma Muhurta was shifted by about 12 hours or 6 hours, But anyway, some of us bathed. We didn't like to waste too much water, so we bathed only alternate days. Whatever, different habits that we had. But the first thing to do is to wake up and take a shower, clean the body. And the next set of activities is to clean the mind. But to clean the mind, there is preparation. So the main activity of the morning is to chant the very sacred holy names of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. To prepare for that, Prabhupada taught us to glorify the spiritual master, the very person or persons who made our chanting Hare Krishna possible. So we come in front of the deities, and when the curtains open, the first thing we do is we glorify the spiritual master. So what I thought we'll do is, I don't think I have time to do the entire 8 verses of Guruvashtaka, but we'll do the first one. So we'll sing the first one. We'll pause. We'll consider what that verse is. We'll sing it again. We'll consider it a little bit more, and then we'll sing it again till we have like how Maharaj was saying, slowly try to get into the mood of that verse. Of course, there's a difference. When Maharaj says it and takes us deeper into the meanings, then we have access. Here, I'm not claiming that I can do that. But only that I can claim is repetition of it is helpful. So we'll repeat the verse again and again. How deep each of us gets into that verse is completely dependent on each one of us. So we'll consider the meaning, we'll consider experience, realization, and see if the doors of our hearts open to the meaning of this verse. Okay? So everyone knows the first verse of Guruvashtaka, I hope. Samsaradava nalalidhaloka Tranaya karunya ghana ghanatva samsara dava nalanidhaloka tranaya karunya ghana ghanatva praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya vande guru shri charanarvindam praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya vande guru shri charanarvindam This is expression of gratitude that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that existence in this material world, samsara, is like being in a forest fire. Samsara davanala. Forest fire, first of all, Prabhupada explains that the forest fire comes about by, it's not that someone did something. How forest fires start is something you cannot explain. So similarly, how material existence begins cannot really be explained per se. And the uniqueness of forest fire is that it is very expansive. And it's not only we, but everyone else also is in that fire. So our frame of reference is, oh, they are suffering, they are suffering, they are suffering. So what's so big deal about my suffering? Suffering is what life is all about. So it's okay. So what's wrong if you're suffering? Everyone's suffering. And it's not easy to put out a forest fire. One may try little buckets of water with a hose, but the forest fire cannot be extinguished. In fact, the most forest fires happen along the Californian coastline. And the Californian coastline is right next to the Pacific Ocean, the largest body of water on the planet. Yet that's where most forest fires are. And Krishna is considered to be the ocean of all the great qualities. Kalyana Guna Arnavasya. So there is forest fire in the heart, and Krishna, although available or accessible, is really not accessible. The only way that this forest fire can be extinguished is when that water from the ocean comes in the form of rain. There is no other way. People can take buckets of water from the ocean, try to put out the fire, but it will not go away. So there is something unique in the rainfall. That means the clouds that gather all this water, they're empowered to extinguish the forest fire. Other way, you cannot get the water and extinguish this forest fire. There is no other way. So the Guru is specially empowered to do something that no one else can do. In fact, the demigods are not empowered to do this service. Only the Guru is empowered. That is to remove us from the condition of suffering. There are two categories of suffering. One suffering is when we are aware of it. The other suffering is that we actually like the suffering and we don't even know that we are suffering. Which is worse? Suffering is suffering. Both are bad. Except in one case, one wants some solution from it. Oh, I'm suffering. I don't want this. And the other is, one is so happy in it that one doesn't want any change from it. The Guru delivers the person from either of these conditions. Because when one is aware of suffering, forest fire is because it's expensive. The conditions of the body, the ailments of the mind, just the day-to-day living in the material world, job situation, family situation, body situation, mind situation, political situation, economic situation, weather conditions, something or the other. The threefold miseries, etc. Something or the other is constantly bothering us. And we try to find solutions. Right? We try to find solutions to economic problems, solutions to body situations, mind conditions, all of that. We try to find solutions, but the solutions don't work. Like in a forest fire, if we are in the middle of that fire, we may try to extinguish the fire around us and think, oh, it's okay. So the immediate situation may become a little better, but we're still in the middle of a forest fire. So it happens that we take either medicine or we go to a shrink or something or get a better job, have better savings. Somehow the relationships seem okay. Children are doing well in school, whatever is happening. We think, this is not so bad. While we don't consider where life is going or how the forest fire is going to consume us just because the surrounding seems okay. So the spiritual master, when he appears, I'm using singular. In most contexts it's plural, but you'll use singular. The spiritual master, when he appears, he shakes us up from that condition. No, don't just look at the immediate surroundings. Think bigger. Think larger as to where life is. Think larger as to how much fire is around you. Generally, it is said that the conditioned person has ostrich mentality. What does an ostrich do when he sees danger? Puts his head into the sand and thinks, no danger. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. If I don't see a problem, it doesn't exist. So he opens our awareness to something that is so factual, so we can consider the real purpose of life. We can consider living. Until then we are burning. We haven't even lived our lives. So many of us, most of us, all of us perhaps have this experience. All of us, this is true because we are sitting here. We have this experience of having our awareness opened up to what's called the spiritual alternative. Our awareness opened up to considering that there is more to life than what we were doing prior. There is more to life than the direction it was heading in. True? True. And actually, it is from the point in time that we met the devotees of Krishna, the spiritual master, that real life has been given a chance to begin. Until then, it was not even real life. It was trying to figure out how to survive. It is only now that we are living. So to not forget this, ever, is important. And therefore, so we don't forget this ever, we remember this every day. One best way to not forget something is to remember it every day. So we begin our day by being thankful for being given that opportunity, the alternative. Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya. So the right way to express that gratitude is Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. To submit ourselves at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. It is right. The other day, not that is I'm going to give you an example, and it's not that is the spiritual master relationship, but it's an example. Bhakta Terence is not here. We were sitting at the lunch table, and Bhakta Drew walked up to him and said something. Can you take care of this? Can you do this? And Terence didn't even fully hear what it was that he was supposed to. He just said yes. So I said to Terence, how nice that you will do anything that Drew will ask you to do. And he said, I will take a bullet for Drew. And then he said, maybe not a bullet. But the spirit is what he meant. I will take a bullet for Drew. Because Terence, in the case of Terence, in that example, Terence owes whatever he's experiencing today to Bhakta Drew's help. So, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam is that spirit that I'll take a bullet for my Guru if necessary. Of course, we don't have to be heroic or do anything like that. That's not the idea. Idea is that my life belongs to my spiritual master. And he can do with it what he likes. That's not easy to claim. So we sing every day so that one day that consciousness will actually awaken. Yes, my life is for my Guru's service. In that mood, we prepare to chant our japa. Because we're asking Krishna, oh, my dear Radharani, please give me some service for Krishna. And the next minute someone says, Prabhu, can you do some service? No. I come up with a long list of reasons why we cannot do that service. The common excuse is, I haven't finished my japa. I haven't finished asking Krishna for some service. Let me ask for 16 rounds and then if he gives you some service, I will do. I'm not saying interrupt japa, you get the idea. Yeah? We forget sometimes what is the spirit of chanting. We're asking, please engage me in your service. And if service comes, we refuse. So Krishna says, hey Prabhuji, I'm getting mixed messages from you. You want service or you don't want? I only want when I'm chanting Hare Krishna. After that, I don't want. Because then I'm asking, please give me some service. But the actual spirit is this. When we are asking Krishna and Srimati Radharani, please give me some service, it naturally means, please let my spiritual master use me the way he likes. Whatever he would like me to do, that service I'm ready to do. And to be able to come to that commitment, we have to acknowledge where we came from. So, for a moment, close your eyes, please, and open your heart. Generally, eyes are open, hearts are closed. So we close our eyes, open our hearts, and let's each one of us consider, before we met our spiritual masters, what life condition was, where we were, what we were doing. In fact, what were some of the things that we were doing that we actually thought was real fun? What were the things that we were doing that we didn't have a solution for? But we got picked out of that condition. We were given an opportunity to look at life differently. Samsaradava nalanidaloka Tranaya karunya ghana ghanatva Samsaradava nalanidaloka Tranaya karunya ghana ghanatva Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda When the house is on fire, what is the nature of people who are in that house? Nature means, what are they doing? Huh? They shout. What else? They drop everything and run. Fear. Confusion. You don't know where to get out of, where to get out from. So this is the characteristic of people. Our lives are also like that. Characteristics of people in material existence. Always busy. Not knowing where the real solutions are or how to solve something. Trying this, trying that, trying something else, whatever problems, go to internet. What's the solution? Try some solution. It doesn't work, or it works for a while. Watch TV, read newspapers, talk to other people in the fire. Hey, what are you doing? This is what I tried. Oh, I should also try this. In India, of course, the demigod worship is fantastic in terms of these things. Oh, in our family, when somebody, a far distant relative had this problem, they hopped from 1 mile, on their left foot, and they were with their arms raised, recited some Baba's name. You should also do it. It works. People also will follow that. Or pray to this particular demigod, recite this stotra, it will help you. They do that. Or try this solution, try that solution. And Prahlad Maharaj says, Dukkha-ushadam tadapi dukkham. There's no way to get out of it. Have we ever had a chance to just pause and consider life before we met the spiritual master? No. We never got a chance to slow down our consciousness. It's racing always before that, trying to solve the problems of life. But when we come in contact with Sri Guru, the first order of business is to slow it down. That there is no need to run. There is no need for being anxious. Right? When there is a fire, and the greatest solace is to see the firefighter. And the firefighter is equipped with their suit, their axe, their fire extinguisher. And most importantly, what is it that the firefighters actually give the people who are in a fire before they quench the fire out? Hope, assurance. This is the first thing firefighters are trained in, giving hope to people. Because if they don't give hope, the persons will never move. So we have received hope. Has anyone seen Krishna? I shouldn't ask the question. I haven't seen Krishna. But we say we haven't seen Krishna. But what are we all operating on? Hope. One day, we will. We will, either this life or some life, when we leave our bodies, we will see Krishna. That's the hope. That is the assurance also, not just false hope. There are many people who give us false hopes. But we're given assurance. Yes. Krishna gives the assurance, I will take you. Once you are submitted to my representative, I will take you. That's the assurance given. That's the hope that's given. And when there is hope, then there is some positive activity to want to move out of that fire. So the Guru gives us great hope. Great hope that beyond this terrible life, there is something to look forward to. That life is not just meant that we are going to be burning. Life is meant for enjoyment, for celebration. We heard yesterday, celebrating is good. That's what the soul does, celebrates all the time. So we're given that opportunity for celebration. So we glorify the spiritual master for giving us that hope. Giving us that hope that we don't have to be burning like this. With anxiety, illusion, fear, the threefold miseries of life. So that's the mood. If we had time, we've gone through all 8 verses. But anyway, that's the mood of the Guru Ashtaka prayers. It's unabashed glorification of the spiritual master. Then there is Narasimhadev prayers. And the other idea is that in all of these prayers, the mood also changes. So in Guru Ashtaka, there is this grateful glorification. Next is Narasimhadev prayer. In Narasimhadev prayer, the mood shifts a little bit. It shifts to seeking protection. The protection is that although I have been given this great opportunity, I'm a creature of habit. I'm like the dog's tail that is always bent, and even if the Guru puts it in a pipe for 10,000 years, as long as it's in the pipe, it looks straight. The moment the Guru removes the pipe, right back at it. So the protection, Prahlad Maharaj also prays, "O Lord Narasimhadev, please protect me. Protect me because I have this tendency to go back to the old habits. I have the tendency to revert back to where I came from. Although I'm carrying hope, I'm used to that situation. Please protect me." And also, in the course of serving the spiritual master and the deities, any mistakes that I may have made, please forgive them. Because without that forgiving element, we cannot move forward. Then we sing Tulsi prayers. Tulsi prayers are very, very special prayers. In Tulsi prayers, the mood is that we are expressing a desire. We are expressing where we would like to go. A mora, a abhilash. Abhilash means desire, aspiration. So, does everyone know the Tulsi song? No? You know this, at least the verse, Mora e Abhilash. What is the Abhilash? Vilas kunje diyovas. What does it mean? Vilas kunje diyovas. Residence in the pleasure groves of Vrindavan. And then the Tulsi Arati is a humble plea. Ei nivedana suno. It's a plea. Nivedana means plea. Begging, please. Ardent plea. Ei nivedana suno. Sakhir anugata koro. Please make me the follower of the cowherd damsels of Raja. Follower of cowherd damsels of Raja doesn't mean we have to wear gopi skirts. It means our mood is that their mood of serving Krishna. We know how the gopis, we can't say we know, we've heard how the gopis serve Krishna. The other day when we were doing this presentation, there was a verse, Uddhava was praying, how great are these gopis that have not worried about social etiquette. They didn't worry about common morality. They left their husbands, they left their children, they left their social etiquettes and shamelessly came to meet with Krishna. And all Krishna did was, when they came, said, all right, now go back home. So they protested. What do you mean, go back home? No one is going to accept us anymore. We have that experience, right? Once we chant Hare Krishna and follow Prabhupada's teachings, family members say, whoa, you're not one of us anymore. Why do you have to be like this? Why can't you be normal? Jai Shri Shri Kishore Kishore Jagannath Baldeswara. Why can't you be normal? Anyway, humor aside, that kind of dedication, that kind of giving oneself to Krishna. Basically, why this is important, giving up family. The idea is not give up family. The point was that within these things, people find comfort. We find comfort, we find a place for ourselves within social norms. We find a place for ourselves within certain relationships of this world. These are areas or places where we find comfort. Family, society, friendship, love, as we call it in the material world. We find comfort in these. But to give up the most sought after comforts, to become uncomfortable, because serving Krishna is not comfortable, it's uncomfortable. And it is meant to be like that. Uncomfortable for the body and mind in the conditioned state. So I'm speaking from the vantage point of a conditioned person. In fact, as soon as it is said, as soon as the Guru sees the disciple comfortable, the first thing he will do is give an instruction to shake that comfort away. Because in that comfort, the disciple may become complacent. This is a good life. We seek happiness in the mode of goodness, and the Guru shakes that happiness in the mode of goodness away. So we may actually access happiness in transcendence. And that happiness in transcendence comes from the sense of discomfort. Of course, I'm not conveying, I have to keep disclaiming things because after the lecture, during the lecture, everyone's happy. Oh, nice lecture, Prabhu. After that, letters go to the spiritual master that get interpreted in a whole different sense, and then I have to answer them. So I'm disclaiming multiple times here. What I'm saying is not that, we have to become very uncomfortable. What I'm saying is that the sense of comfort that we have is material. And the spiritual master's duty is to shake us out of that comfortable position. Because we very quickly find comfort in material circumstances. Yad anudhyasina santa chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. The sword that's being talked about in this verse of Bhagavatam is the sword of detachment. Detachment, someday we can give a whole seminar on detachment. Detachment, generally we think as don't care for anyone. Detachment actually means do the best you can without expecting honor, without expecting respect from what we are doing, in what we are doing. But do it in a way that is with full of responsibility and affection. Amanina manadena. Actually, that's the detachment part. Without this detachment, we become comfortable. We become, this is nice. Here's an exercise for each one of us. Look back, let's look back and find all the different stages of life where we have become complacent or comfortable. I can give you an example if you like. Initiation. Initiation and boom. Comfortable. Now I am Das. I can enjoy. People become really comfortable as soon as they get initiated. Until then, they were ready to do a lot of whatever is necessary. And then it comes to, now I have achieved. Happens. For example. So please think for your own selves. What are the different stages of life or situations by which we have become complacent? Another one, just to help out. Some distress was there. Financial distress, bodily distress, mental distress, relationship distress. And as long as the distress was there, there was always that discomfort that maybe told us, something I'm not doing in my Krishna consciousness, that if I did differently, I might feel stronger. And when these distresses move, we become complacent again. So now you can think for yourselves what those are. So when we make this plea, E nivedana karo, E nivedana dharo, sakhir anugata karo, that means we're making a plea. Please let my life be uncomfortable. From tomorrow, no attendance in Tulsi Aarti. I don't want to make that plea. No, we should make that plea. This is part of reciprocity. For all the things that we have received from the spiritual master, having pulled us out of that condition, this discomfort we must take. Discomfort means coming out of that comfort zone of everything is like the way I like things. I'm trying not to be. What's that word, Jai Jagannath Prabhu? I'm trying not to be what? I'm finding it difficult to find that word. Someone help me out. You get the idea, huh? No, I'm trying to be heavy, but I'm trying not to be something else. Heavy is intentional. I'm not trying to draw a picture of life that is really, oh my gosh, being a devotee means, huh? Pessimistic. Something else. Morbid? Huh? Discouraged. Who's discouraged here? Raise your hand if you're discouraged. I'm really very sorry. The whole idea is to encourage seva to Guru and Krishna. So, see, this is what happens. Economy class. But your expectations are never met. They say 6 inches extra leg room, but you really... When you get on the plane, they say, you want extra leg room? That's $25 more. No, I'm not trying to make things seem like morbid or whatever. Anyway, whatever is the word. The point is that we owe it. We owe for being saved. So I'm speaking like the Christians, for being saved. We have been. And we owe our life to Krishna. So to express an aspiration is not wrong. In fact, it's proper. It's the right. When we aspire like that, that is a symptom that we are grateful for what we have received. Another way to say it is not just to mechanically recite the prayers, but try to put a little feeling, a consideration. What is it that I'm praying for? I want to become like the gopis. I want to serve Krishna with the same unreserved enthusiasm that the gopis have. Without the selection of that service is easy for me, I will do this service, I don't want it. There's no reservation like that. But with the confidence that Krishna will empower whatever is necessary to do that service. Then there's the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, 16 rounds in the association of devotees. Very, very powerful experience. And interestingly enough, as soon as we chant 16 rounds, the first thing we do is greet the deities. Our consciousness is ready, if you will, to greet the appearance of Radha and Krishna, Gaur Nitai, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Maharani, for now enthusiastically expressing, my dear Krishna, we're ready for service. Because once the curtains open, that's when the services also begin, right? Just from a day perspective. It's a service, we're ready. And interestingly, the whole Govindam prayers, especially the 2 verses that we sing, those verses are not asking Krishna for anything. Take care of my this situation. Nothing. They're just speaking about the beauty of Krishna's form. Chintamani prakara sadma sukalpa vriksha. Venum kwanantam aravinda dalaya taksham. We're looking at, gazing at, absorbing the form of Krishna and glorifying. Venum kwanantam, holding his flute. Aravinda dalaya taksham, his eyes beautifully formed like the petals of lotus. Barahavatam, decorated with peacock feather. Buddha Sundarangam, very, very beautiful, etc. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya, Visheshusho. Let my consciousness be attracted by the form, the beauty of Krishna, than the other things of this material world. And right after that is Guru Puja again. Start with Guru, in the middle also. The mood of Guru Puja or Guru Vandana is different a little bit than the Guru Ashtaka prayer. In the Guru Ashtaka is the glorification of the ontological position of Guru, Guru Tattva. Guru Vandana is a relationship prayer. How we have experienced from the spiritual master, the transformation of our consciousness. And in that song is a commitment. The commitment, Janme Janme, Prabhu say. Chakshudan dilo jai, Janme Janme. For giving me the vision by which I can live my life now. For that, I commit life after life to your service. Very, very, for many people actually, and I see many of devotees who are not temple residents. We invite you to come. Please come. If you can come on the weekends, fine. Even if it is once a week, please come and experience Guru Puja. I promise you, very, very interesting, transformative experience. Just to come and offer flower petals at the lotus feet of Prabhupada and sing Guru Puja. Very, very amazing experience. If you can, we invite you to come experience the entire morning program, starting with Mangalarati and chanting with Japa, and waiting anticipatingly for the curtains to open to let the deities see us. Then we seeing the deities and offering Guru Puja, Bhagavatam class. Very, very, of course, Prasadam is also there, but wonderful experience. Wherever you're staying, if the temple's there and they have this program, or if they have, please go. If you're living in the Chicago area, please let us know what we can do so that your attendance or participation in the morning program may be a possibility even once a week. We'll do whatever is necessary. But please come and experience the different moods of prayer, the different ways in which we can relish and learn from what Prabhupada has given us. I'm out of time. Any one question? One question anyone has? Yes, Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu for enlightening class. But since we are working people, so how do we conduct this morning elaborated prayers? It takes a lot of time.
So that's a good use of time. If we can, are you suggesting that those devotees who are working cannot do Mangalarati? No. Is there downsized prayers? No. I mean, I'm intentionally answering it in a particular way. No. In that question, if you don't mind me being a little, I guess, what was that, heavy? In that question is the presumption that what I do between 9 and 5 is more important than what I do in preparation for the 9 to 5. Which is not true. To wake up early or early enough and take the time that is necessary to actually glorify the spiritual master, to chant our rounds and then go to work and see the difference of experience. Generally what happens is that the 16 round takes the lower priority. That's not how we're meant to. Whatever it takes, so now the softer thing. Try to work out how you can come to that stage where this can happen in the morning. Can I embarrass Sachikumar Prabhu? Is that all right? When we started our Krishna consciousness, Sachikumar Prabhu and his wife, Prematarangini Mataji, they were the ones we knew closely. And I've known them for what now? 12 years. Regardless of what was happening, he had a job situation. There was an extended period of time when he didn't have a job. Then he had a job and something or the other, or other factors in household life were changing. I've never seen him not wake up at 3 o'clock, chant his rounds, do Mangala Arati. For me, from the beginning, that was like the thing to follow. I may not have followed well, but that's something to follow. Never missed. It's not like he didn't have the same kind of job situation. This is just one example. It's not that others will not. I'm speaking from where, for us, the inspiration came from. So it's possible. It is possible. Otherwise, it would mean that only temple devotees can follow Mangala Arati and puja, and for others it's not valid. Okay. With that in mind, there can be, some things can be done in, I guess, shorter ways. But you cannot say, instead of singing all 8 verses, I will sing 1. For us, the arti takes 25 minutes. All the items have to be offered to the deity, so it takes 25 minutes. It doesn't have to take 25 minutes at home. But all the 8 verses must be sung. Offering obeisances to Tulasi can be done. Narasimha, so it's possible. If it were not possible, I would not answer. It's possible. We have done it. So many devotees have done it. Then now you look at what are the reasons things are not happening. Most reason would be not getting to bed on time. That's one thing that's always like the challenge to one's sadhana. I'm not talking about you now. We're talking in general. The secret to strong sadhana is to get to bed early enough. Somehow. That's something to practice. Get to bed early. As early as possible. But with late nights and early waking is not possible. Okay. Somebody will raise their hand, or if not raise their hand, inside their heart think, my life situation is not like that. I do genuinely have issues for which I cannot do the whole program. If there is such a person, then at least recite all the prayers in the heart, even if the deity worship part is not there. There is no reason to not prepare one's consciousness. That's my point. Okay, I only say one question, so thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry I do say some things. It's nothing personal, or it was just part of the mood of discussing these prayers. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. This is Glenn's.
lunch? No, right? Downstairs. That'd be a one part. Yeah. It's ready. Almost one. I just do a full schedule.
You want to get lunch? Do you want to?
Yeah.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.